All right. So today, what so yesterday what we did is we created our application. Okay, and when we created our application, we ran it locally, and this was a Python application. Okay, so we created a virtual environment. We created a Flask application. Okay, that was printing hello world and the host name that was here, right? In the same Flask application, we ran it locally and saw it is working or not. Later on, we moved it to Docker. Okay, so we installed Docker yesterday, and we saw that this command was working fine after installation of Docker. Okay, you can install Docker by going to this get Docker link. Okay, or you can you can get it from the documentation itself. Okay, so docker.com is your is the first place that you will land if you need any help with the Docker. Okay, so you can go to uh, documentation and you will find each and every information that you need to work with containers and Docker. So you can get there are links to try out things. Okay, so we are doing with Docker engine. Some of you will be using Docker desktop on your Windows system. So Docker desktop internally deploys a Docker engine, and in that way you also get a Docker CLI installed on your system. Okay, so this is what this is a Docker ecosystem. You have Docker desktop, then it is running Docker engine. You run Docker build command. There is a Docker compose. At the end of the class, we'll see Docker compose as well. And then Dockerhub is the registry here. Okay, perfect. So so we saw how to create your own images. Okay, and I'll try to log in onto the system again. Okay. Um, So let me just move it here. There is my machine here. Okay. And I need to create a new session and I need to find the credential for my feed. Okay, so I'll log in again here. Just couldn't log in again. All right. So that was one of the things we did for Docker. Let me just sign in. Okay. For yeah. I'm logging to my Docker host and I should have copied it somewhere. Okay, so I'll just click on connect. I'll get the IP here. Okay, include the console here, SSH. That is fine. I need to use a private key, and that private key is here. Okay. See, okay. And Ubuntu is the username. Okay, perfect. So we have a Python Flask application here. Okay. Uh, what I will do is I'll push this code in this repository so that you can also get a just copy this link. Okay. and I just need to such copy PD such keygen. Okay, so I'm I'm just authenticating my user on this machine so that I can do a git clone and push uh, ID RSA. Okay, so this is the private key. Oh, okay, this is the private key. Perfect. I'll just copy this one. Okay, and I will go to my profile. Sorry, not profile. Sound settings and SSH and new keys. Add it here. Okay. Use password because I don't remember the machine that have that. Why it is not showing up. Perfect. So now it is added. What I'll do is I'll do a git clone of that repo here. Okay. Yes, I should be able to copy, and I can go to training handouts. Okay, and CP Python Flask. CP minus R Python Flask. Okay. So perfect, we have it here. Git add Python. Okay, git status. We will add it here. Okay. Okay, so today what we will do is we have this application running here. If you do Docker PS, okay, the application is not running, and let's try to run the application again. Okay, so you run this application, it runs here, okay, and you can access this application from your console like any other application uh, just by browsing it here and the port that you have open. Okay, so I have opened it into 5001 port. Let me see what is the port name here. 5001. Okay, so it opens here. Okay, and you can run as many instances of this Docker container application on this machine as is, right? But so whenever I log out from this system, right? Whenever I close this shell, okay, let me just duplicate this tab and let me try to close this shell. Okay, so what will happen is, okay, so if I close this shell, okay, so I have to exit like this, and when you do a refresh, this application is gone. Okay, so this application is not running now. So how do we make sure the application runs all the time? Okay, the container runs all the time. If you see Docker PS, it doesn't show any Docker containers here. Okay, I haven't shown you what is this PS command. Okay, just remember this PS command tells you what are the commands running on the system. Remember, PS is a command on Linux which shows all the processes. Docker PS will show all the running containers. Okay. There's no container running here. How do we spin up the container? I can go to Python Flask application and I can run this from any. Okay. So now it runs here, but it will not run in background. Okay. So to run this in background, there's an option called -d. Okay, so when you do this, it will create a container like this, and it will print this hexadecimal value. Okay, so this hexadecimal value is the container ID. Okay, so the Docker PS command okay, will show you the running containers, right? So you see here, there is one container running here, and the command tells you a handful information about the container. So container ID, image, what image the container is using, what is the command the container runs, right? So this is the command container runs. If you see Docker file, right? So this was the command we added here, okay? And the same you will see in the Docker PS output. It says the created time, status, and the port that you have forwarded, right? So it says this is the host address, and it is forwarded to 5,000 in the container. So if you browse this address on the host, that will be container port 5,000, and the application in the container. Okay. And at last, it is the name of the container. The name of the container is nervous Blackwell. By default, Docker will assign a random name. Okay. And if you want to, if you want to change this name, I'll show you in a moment. Okay. So we ran the command using Docker run. Okay. We ran the command using Docker run. Okay. Let's move it here. So we ran the command using run the container. Okay. List container. Okay. Running. So you use Docker PS command. Okay. So next thing is, if you want to stop this container, what you will do is Docker stop command. Okay. Docker stop, and you need to pass container ID. Okay. So what is this container ID? The container ID is nothing but the Docker, the first element in the Docker PS output. Okay. So to stop this container, you can do Docker stop and this container. Okay. So what this will do is this will stop this running application. Okay. This running container will go into stopped state. Okay. Let it go into stop state. Now it is in stop state. You will see Docker PS. It will show there is no running container. Okay. So Docker stop will stop the container. Okay. How to see all the stopped container on the system? Because the container is in a stopped state. Okay. And they can again be brought back to running state. So how do you see is you pass minus minus all option. It will tell you all the stopped container on the system. Okay. So these are the containers that you ran in the past. Okay. And they are still on your system. Okay. So you see, we ran this hello world container last time. Okay. And it exited 24 hours ago. So you will see the name of the containers. Okay. You will see when it was started, when it was, what is the exit code, okay, or the status of the container, and any port on all the thing, right? Okay. So so Docker PS all will tell you all the containers. Okay. So stop container. Okay. And this command list all the containers stopped running. Okay. / creating. Okay. Remember we talked about the state of a pod. Okay. State of a container. Okay. The container goes through various states. Okay. If I open this, you will see the container here, right? When you do when you start a container, it goes to creating a state. It runs some command. Okay. And somewhere I showed you that thing, right? Okay. So it's not showing up here. Okay. Maybe somewhere down there. Okay. Okay. Not here. So let me show you here. So you start a container. Okay. You start a container. Okay. So then the container runs, it goes into running state. Okay. And before running state, it will be somewhere in between. It will be creating state. Okay. So during creating state, what it will do is it will try to fetch image. Okay, if it doesn't find, it's not able to fetch image, it will say I'm not able to start. I was not able to create a container. Okay, so this is state. When you do a run, it goes to creating a state, running state, and from running state, you can the system can go to stop. Okay, or if you do a forceful thing, okay, okay, and you can also delete the container, okay, or slash remove, okay, which is more prominent verb in Docker. So from running state, it can go to remove or stop state, and from stop state, you can again bring it back to running state. Okay, so this was a bit okay. So these are the state of your container. Okay, and same thing you can get the state of the container by running docker ps all command. Okay, so let's run a container and see if we can see the running container as well. Okay, so to run a container, you run this command. Okay, and it gives you container ID. This is the container ID. You don't need to remember the full ID. Okay, only the unique numbers on your system you need to remember. Like, so you see there is a 96 here. Okay, so you cannot use 9 here. Okay, because there are two containers with the same number. Okay, so you can use 96 to identify the hello world container. Okay, so you can use 56 because there is no container starting with 56. So you can use 56 as a container name or container ID to identify the container. Okay, so it just search for whatever ID you specify in the list of container IDs. Okay, if it starts with that, it will try to whatever operation you want to do, it will do it. Okay, so the two thing that identifies the container, one is container ID and one is container name here. Okay, so let's see Docker PS. It is showing a running container. And when you do Docker PS all, it will show all the container, including stopped container. So these are stopped container. This is running container. Okay, perfect. You will see port status here. If the container is running, you will see port status here. And you see status here up, right? Up is equivalent to running state. Okay, exited is equivalent to stopped state. Okay, okay, fine. So how do we bring the container back from stopped state? Okay, so let's see Docker PS here. Okay, minus minus all. So there is one container here which is in exited state. Okay, let's take this container, right? So I can use this container ID to bring it back online. Okay, so what I'll do is Docker start and the container ID. Okay, just like stopped, we have a Docker start command as well. And now you see there are two containers running. One container is this and one container is that. Okay, so Docker start command, okay, will start a container in stopped state. Okay, so this is the container ID. I'll say container ID. Okay, so this is how you manage state of a container. Okay, so you can run the container using this. You list container using Docker PS. You stop container using Docker stop. You can start it again using Docker start, and you can list all the container in stop, running, or creating state using Docker PS. Okay, the last command that you need that you can use to manage container state is removing the containers. Okay. Okay, so to remove the container, okay, so there is a command called docker rm. Okay, docker rm and container ID will remove stopped container. Okay, okay. So let's see. There is a container called hello world, right? So I can use the ID to stop the container or to remove the container. Okay, so docker rm, and if you pass the container ID, it will remove the container. Okay, now if you run the docker ps all command, okay, you will not see hello world here. Okay, so docker rm is a useful command to clean up the stopped container from your system. Okay, so I have seen a system which had like 1,000 container in a stopped state. Okay, and that machine was not very powerful, so it started to lag up because there was a space consumption issue. So I had to go and manually delete all the containers, or I wrote a script that will take all the container ID from this output, and I deleted all the containers using Docker RM command. Okay, how can you do this? Okay, just like I have so what I can do is I can use uh, this command. Okay, and I can pass it into awk. Okay, to print print $1. Okay, oh sorry, it's awk actually. Okay, so it is not showing up anything. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find all the Dockers, all the container ID that are in a stop state right now. Okay, so how do I do it? You can use awk command. So awk command, if you have seen in, okay, um, so awk command in Linux will help you to uh, parse the particular uh, column of your output. Okay, so you have this output. If you want to get the first, like Ajay, Sunil, and so you can use awk command. Okay, so this is the awk command. I'll try to use. Okay, and this will help. Okay, print $1. Fine. So okay, I was using the command in wrong format. Okay, again AWS awk. Okay. So I just add this command here. Okay, and instead of 4, I'll just print $1. Okay, now you see it printed all the container ID. Okay, and I can just pass this to Docker RM. Okay, so xargs Docker RM. Okay, so what it will do is it will try to delete all the containers. Uh, because see, it deleted these containers. Because of that, because it is printing the container ID. Some of them it could not delete. There is no container called container. There is a container here, right? You see, so there is no container called container, and there are two containers which are in running state. So it could not stop them. The container is running. Stop container before removing it or force remove it. Okay, so this script removes all the containers from system. Okay, so this is this command, right? So it's a bonus how to remove all the containers from system. Okay, so you can use this command. Okay, so this is like a cleanup activity. You want to delete all the containers, so you do it. Okay, so what you see here, when I try to remove this, okay, if you see Docker PS now, you will have only two containers. If you see Docker PS all, you will still shoot two containers because we remove all the stop container. Okay, but when I try to remove the running container, okay, it is showing an error. Okay, cannot remove a running container. Okay, so how do you remove a running container? Like just like you cannot delete a file just doing a rm command. Okay, you have to use it a forceful delete because directly may contain some files. Okay, so if you accidentally delete a directory, the files are also deleted. Okay, so you have to use some extra flag to delete a, a, object in use. So container is running and it is in use. Okay. So to remove a running container, you pass a docker rm minus f command. Okay. So when you do this, it will delete a running container as well. Okay. So Docker ps, you will see one container is running here, right? Okay, so Docker rm minus f will do a forceful delete. Okay, okay, container id force delete the container. Okay, so either it is running or stop. Both it will delete both the containers. Okay, fine. Any doubt until now? Any doubt so far?
Yeah, no queries.
Okay, okay. So now you are able to manage state of your containers. Okay, so the next thing is you know that how to list images on system. Okay, so working with images, right? So you know, right, how do we build images? Okay, so docker build command to build a docker image, right? And this is something advanced. Okay, so before that, okay, how do you list image? List images on local machine. Okay, so to list images on local machine, you fire docker images command. Okay, so docker images will show you the images present on your local system. Okay, so yeah, this is fine. Like it is able to list all the images. Okay, but how do you download a new image? Like you want to run a container. Okay, and that container requires an image which is not on your local system. Okay, by default it will download the image and then run the container. So let's see an example. You see we don't have a busy box. Busy box image we don't have here. Okay, busybox is again a Linux version with some networking tool as part of the container. Okay, so what I will do is I will run this command docker run. Okay, and I will use busybox image and latest image. Okay, and when I run this, you see unable to find image busybox locally, and it says it is trying to pull image from library busybox. Library is the Dockerhub here, and it says pull complete. Okay, so by default, if the image is not present on your local machine, it will download. It will try to download from Dockerhub. Okay, so if you want to use some other repository, you can specify that repository as well, where in the Docker daemon. Okay, that is some advanced concept. We are not going there. So, so now you do Docker images, sorry, Docker images, you will see a busybox image here. Okay, so we use the latest version of the busybox, and you see it is on local system. And now if you run it again, okay, it will not download. You see how fast it is. Now it just ran this busybox and it is stopped, right? Okay, and let's say if, the container, so this container, if you see docker ps minus minus all, you have a busybox. We ran busybox twice, right? So it created two new containers. Okay, and then the container exited with status 0. So status 0 is a success status. Okay, so the container exited with a success code. So it ran fine. Okay, and what did it ran? It ran sh command. Okay, so sh is just a shell. Okay, and if you don't use shell in interactive mode, you will not get a shell. Okay, you will not get access to shell. So it will just run and exit. Okay, so if you want to run the command interactively, okay, minus it, so it will give you the shell. Okay, so whatever you are running, it will run in your current shell. Okay, so it is just like, okay, let me exit here. Okay, it is just like you run sh command from here. So when you run sh command from here, you will get a shell. Okay, and this is a sh bin sh shell. Okay, by default sh is landing to bash. Okay, So when you run this command, it opens another shell which you can use for your purpose. Okay. Similarly, if you want to run the command, if you want to make the container to run command in your shell, you use -it option. Okay, and when you run this, you will get the command output or command executable on your system. Okay, all right. So this -it is an option in Docker run, and how do you get all the option? You can use Docker run --l. Okay. So all the command that you run with Docker, right? They have certain option. So IT, so if you push -t, it say allocate a sudo tty. Okay. So if you want to run any shell command, you need a tty. Okay, terminal file. So this tty is a terminal file. So -t will open a allocator sudo ty, and what is I? I is for interactive option. So keep std in open even if not attached. So so Docker run -it will attach your std in and the terminal to the container command. Okay. So if the container command it requires a tty and um, uh, std in, you can use -it option. Okay. So, so when do you run this? When do you need this -it option? It is required when you want to uh, enter into the shell, enter into the container, or enter into the container shell. So with that, in that case, you need a Docker run -it command. Okay. So I'll just note it down there as well. Okay. In the top, run container in TTY and interactive mode. Okay. Helps in, okay. And you can say busy box. Okay, latest. So this will below this command open a shell that you can use in your your requirement. Okay. So so we were on images. So Docker images will list all the images here. How do you work with images? Okay, so you pull the image, right? Docker pull, right? Docker pull. There is another command called Docker push here. Okay, so what is Docker push? Docker push will push your images to Dockerhub. Okay, just like pull, when you do Docker pull and image name, okay, let's say busy box. So Docker pull will download the busy box on your local system. When you do Docker push busy box, okay, it will try to push image into Dockerhub. Okay, so you see the output here. It is saying they're using the tag latest. Push refers to repository Docker IO. Docker IO is Dockerhub, and library is the default location of your images, and busy box is the name of the image. It says layer already exists, and at the end it says unauthorized, right? So how do you authorize to push images into Dockerhub? Okay, so let's try to uh, Docker pull, okay, and image name. It will download image from default rep Docker registry. Okay, and Docker push image name colon tag uploads image to default Docker registry. Okay, so let's see an example. Let's see how we can use push command. So you remember we have a Python Flask application here. Okay, and you might be creating Docker image for this application on your own system. Okay, so instead, if you don't want to create it, you can use my own image to run in your system. Okay, how do you get this access? you have to download this image, right? But from where do you download this image? That you download from Dockerhub. So this image should be present in Dockerhub in order you to use and run this container image. So let's see how do we push this image. Okay, for that, what we will do is we will go to Dockerhub. Okay, Dockerhub. So this is a public Docker registry. Okay, I will sign in here. I have an account. If you don't have an account, you can do a sign up. Okay, I'll just do a sign in. I have an account here. Okay, so Docker Hub is the container registry. I'll send it in the group so that you can use it. Okay, so I will urge you, all of you, to create an account here. Okay, and try to push one image of your choice here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just click on create repository. Okay, and I'll say Python Flask app. Okay, so here my Python Flask microservice. Okay, what are microservices? They are very lightweight. So this is very lightweight service, right? I'll just do a create here. Okay, so now this image, right, is publicly available. Okay, you can go and check out this image from your own location. Okay, so if you're not, even if you are not logged in, you can get this image. You can look for this image. Okay, so this is is now present in the Docker Hub. Okay, for all of you to access. Okay, but here we don't have a container image as of now. You see, there is nothing here. No, the repository is empty. Push some images to see them, right? So how do we push image here? Okay, the Docker command to push is this. Okay, so I'll copy this here. Okay, and I will run it here. Okay. Of course, this command will not work because I don't have an image called DevOps slash Python Flask app colon tag name. I don't have an image like this, right? So if I run this, you say the image does not exist locally. Okay. So how do we create an image like this? Okay. So you have Docker images. You see, you have an image called Python Flask app, and the version is V1. Okay. So I need to create a image which is named like this. Okay. So how do I do it? I can rename this image to Docker Flask, Docker Python Flask app, right? So what I do is to rename to create another copy of the image. You can use Docker tag command. Okay. So Docker tag, you will use the existing so v1. Okay, and then the new tag. Okay, so I will use this tag. Okay, and latest I will use for now. Okay, so what this will do is it will create another tag for the same image. Okay, now you see I have a image called DevOps from Flask app, and the tag is latest. Okay, and the image ID, you see, it is same as Python Flask app v1. Okay, and same as v2, same as latest. So these three images are exactly same. Okay, so we just named it. We just added a new name for this image, and the name is this. Okay, let's try to push this image. Okay, now I can run this command, and instead of tag name, I need to use latest because that is the tag name in the local repository. So when I do this, it says request access to the resource is denied. Okay, so this is my own account, right? You cannot push this image into my account. Okay, so you have to log in into my account, then only you can push it. So how do you log in into uh, the Docker Hub? You use Docker login command. Okay, Docker login. Okay, so when I do Docker login, it asks me username. Okay, so I'm adding a username here. Okay, okay, and let me see if okay. So username and password. I never I was never able to remember the passwords. Sorry for that. So I'll copy the password from here. What is that? Copy password. Okay. And I'll just run this again and and I'll just paste the password here. Login succeeded. And now when I push this, run this command, you should be able to, now you see it is able to push the images, right? Now, if I refresh this page, you will see one image in this repository. Okay, so this is a repository, the Docker repository I have created. The name of the repository is DevOps Farm Python Flask app. Okay, and can you can all of you check if you are able to access this repository on Dockerhub? So go to Dockerhub and search for this image, the one that I have shared in the WhatsApp chat. Okay, so are you able to see this image? Are you able to use this image? Are you able to see this image? Anyone of you tried it? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. I mean, where to search it?
Okay, so you need to go to Dockerhub, okay, .com, and in the dockerhub.com, you search for the image I have shared, image name I have shared with you. So in the search bar here, you just paste the image name and press enter. When you press enter, you will see the Python Flask app, okay, in the images. Okay. Just see here, okay. So I have so many images here. I don't know why it is not listing here, but just try if you are able to see it.
Yes, it's working.
You're able to see it?
Ah, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so how do you use that image? So the first thing you can use this image is, so I was logged in here, right? Okay. Let's see if I can access this image from my other system. Okay, so this is my other system. Okay, this has Docker installed. Okay, so you Docker PS. Okay, so I need to start it again. Sudo service Docker start, and I just need to enter. And now I do Docker PS. I should be able to see something. Okay, so how do I use this image? I need to use Docker full to download the image. Okay, so what is the image name? The image name is the one that I shared with on the WhatsApp. Okay, so I'll just copy from my other screen. Okay, and I can just write latest image. So it will download the image. Okay, now you see I'm able to download the image. Same thing you will also be able to do. Okay, so so how do we do it is Docker full will download the image and I will run this image after some time. Okay. So how do you run it? You can use this command. Okay, same command. And instead of using Python Flask app, I will use my DevOps from Python Flask app to run the content. Okay. Okay, so I will run this command. Once the download is complete, it will take some time because I'm on a different network. I have a slow network here. Let's see how much time it takes. Okay, it's taking some time. Fine. So let it take some time. In the meanwhile, I'll just write here. Um, okay. So working with image, push, pull image, and how do you, while it is downloading, how do you remove the image? Remove image. Okay. So images will consume some space on your disk, right? So you send on a timely basis, you have to delete the image. Docker image RM and the image ID. Okay. So this is how you remove the image. Okay, I'll show you in a moment. But for the time being, yeah, this is running. I mean, this image is downloaded. You see, Docker PS is not creating any image. It's not creating any container. How do I run the container? I run this command here. Okay, and if I press enter, it will run something. If I do Docker PS, you see the container is running here. Okay, and if I access this container from my local machine, okay, so localhost colon 5001. Okay, and you see hello world from the container. This is the container ID. Okay, the container ID is same as the container name here. So this is the container ID here. Okay, perfect. So this command, if even if you run, uh, you will be able to run the application on your own system. Okay, so whoever have Docker environment, if you run this command, okay, I send it in the wrong channel. Um, okay, so if you run this command, you will be able to run the application. Okay, so so far good. We were able to create image using Docker build. Okay, using Docker build, we were able to list all the images using Docker images. We were able to pull images. We were able to push our local images. Okay, and so the next part is how do you clean up images? Okay, so to clean up images, you use Docker RM command. Okay, so Docker images will list all the images. Okay, and I want to remove this image, so I can use Docker RM, Docker image, okay, RM, and the image name, right? So it says it is already running. So you cannot delete this image because the container is already using this image. So how do you forcefully remove it? Or let's delete a image that is not in use. Okay, so let's say this Postgres, right? So if I remove it, okay, it is again referenced by some container. Okay, so maybe there are stop containers, okay, that must be using the container images. Okay, so let me see if there is any image which is not being used. So this one is not used. Okay, so I will use this one, Docker image RM and XP container. Now you see it first untagged the image and then it deleted the image, and then it prints the image ID at the end. Okay, now if I do a Docker images, you will not see this exp internal app Django here. Okay, so you don't see that in the list here. Okay, any question till here from the Docker part? Any question here? So a small exercise for you when you go to when you do an exercise. So this is an exercise for you. Okay, create a Node.js hello world application. Okay, run the app on local machine. Okay, access the application from browser. Okay, containerize the image, create Docker file, build the image, okay, push the image, run the image locally, okay, and with port forwarding, okay, access the application, okay, push the image to Dockerhub, okay. For that, log into Dockerhub, okay, and create repository for Node.js application, okay, okay, and now push the image to Dockerhub, and before that, re-tag the Docker image on local to Docker Hub image name, okay, and push the image to Docker Hub, okay, and you also need to log in and log out, and that you can also figure out, okay. So push the image, run the image, run run the container from Docker Hub image on any other system, okay. You can also use playground doc playground Docker, okay. Okay, so this is an exercise for all of you, okay. So if you get chance, just try to go with this, okay. It will help you to understand the concept better in a better format, okay. All right, so so we covered most of the Docker part, okay. There are other advanced things, probably uh not relevant in this class, okay. Let me see what is pending from the um Docker part. All right. So we saw the version, we saw the how to remove image. Okay. So RMI is short for Docker image RM. Okay. So you can also use RMI to delete the Docker image. Okay. So containers, Docker PS minus A all, run containers, port forwarding with minus P. Here stop container, start container, remove container. Okay. Okay, we didn't see this option. Okay, let's see this option here. Okay, this is one of the important option that you will use. Okay, so Docker PS. So when we run this command without minus D, okay, Docker run, okay, and I ran this like this. Okay, when I run like this, you will see output here. Okay, but you will not run application like this in a real world environment, right? You cannot log in into the shell all the time, okay. So you might be running this in background, okay. So to run this background, you use run minus D, right? If you remember. So when you do run minus D, it will run in background. But how do you check logs for this application? Maybe this application has error, or this application um, may have some warning messages, right? How do you check logs of the application? Okay, running container. So you do is Docker log command. Okay, so Docker log and the container ID will give you the logs from the container. Okay, so let's see here Docker PS. So this is the latest container I have spent. So I can use Docker logs and the container ID, and it will show me the Docker logs here. Okay, perfect. So there are other option here. You can use uh, minus tail. So it will tell you tail is an option to list the last n number of n lines. Okay. So maybe your Docker container has 1,000 line. So you don't want to see all the 1,000 line. Just 5 or 6 line is fine. So I want to see last 2 lines. I can do minus tail. Minus tail 2. So it will only print last 2 lines. Okay, and there are other options like minus F, okay, that will follow the trail. So it will continue to monitor the logs from container. Okay, when you try to access the application, your container log will start filling up, right? And that will appear here. Okay, let's try to see that example. Okay, I will run this run this image with -p option so that I can access it. Okay, so I'll just run this application and I say Docker PS, and there's a image running here. I can access this using the 5001. Okay, not this one. Okay, this one. It's running here, and now I wanted to check logs for this container. Okay, so Docker logs container ID. Okay, and I use -f option to follow the container logs. Okay, now you see, I just print. I had press enter here. You see, this is the log coming from my when I try to access, I get this log, right? So let me try to access it again. Okay, and you will see logs getting printed here. Okay, so if your application is big, you will see a very too many logs here. Okay, so this docker log command is a really helpful command to debug the container. Okay, so you can check out the logs in the container. You check out the errors in the container. Are there any requests which are landing to 404 or 542? Or like these are error codes, right? So you can detect for any error code. You can detect for any console logs in the container, right? So Docker logs is a helpful command when you want to debug a container. Okay, so this command, okay, help you to debug a container. Get logs of the running container. Okay. So you can also get container from the logs from the stopped container. Okay. So if I wanted to see logs from this container which exited 3 minutes ago, you can see a Docker logs and here. Okay. So it will show you what are the logs from the stopped container. Okay. All right. Um, any questions so far? Like, do you have any question for me until here? Anyone? Anybody? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll add a, uh, a doc.md, okay, and I'll add this thing here so that you can follow up, okay, whatever we have done so far. Okay, so I'll just add it here, git commit -m docker11 git. Okay, so I haven't set it here, so I can just set uh, Paliwal at the rate uh, and I have to set username as well to identify the commit. Okay, I can just do commit again, push, not Docker push, git push. Okay, so you should be able to see them here. Okay, so I can go to here, and this training handouts have the Docker 101, which I just created now. Okay, it also has the Python Flask application content. So, okay, so you can go through it. So this is the exercise you need to do. Okay, please go through it and prepare for it. Okay, so if you have any question regarding this exercise, for this exercise, please feel free to ask, and I will try to answer them whenever possible. Okay. Okay. If we have any no question, I will say have a nice day to all of you, and we'll continue tomorrow with Kubernetes. Okay, so this covers like Docker Hub. Well, most of the thing we have covered. from Dockerhub. We'll start with Kubernetes tomorrow. Okay. And if you think there is anything I missed in Docker, please let me know. I'll cover that as well. So it's the Docker is a very vast topic. Okay. I might have missed anything, but I have tried to get the basics, whatever required for in day-to-day life. Okay. You can again explore the Docker documentation. Okay. And if you see anything that I need to cover, please let me know. I'll cover it as well. Okay. All right. So say I'll stop here and I'll stop the recording.